Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are going to be continuing the narration and character voice acting for the side story Lone Trail. And before we begin, for those of you who usually utilize the time skip that I provide in the comment section below to skip the rest of the intro, you might have probably noticed if you're looking at it right now that there is a couple of timestamps this time. More on that in a minute, considering today's episode will have a bunch of extra material in it besides just the story section. But, like I said, more on that in a minute. First, the usual intro, and that is to anybody who is new to Arknights and or to this channel bumping into it through this episode. First and foremost, welcome. Hope you enjoy your stay with both this channel and Arknights in general. And if you have questions about what Lone Trail is connected to, do you need to read something first or something else? Refer to the first episode of this narration where I talked about that, what is connected to it. But also, bonus points, if you are caught up with the main story so far, that will help a lot considering that this story does mention the main story quite a lot, or at least hints about events from the main story. Again, I'm not pointing them out while I'm reading stuff through the story and pointing out, yes, this is connected to it, so you're fine with to follow along with this without being actually spoiled about the main story. If you do not know, you do not know. It's very simple. And of course, thank you once again. Wow. Thank you once again for all the likes, the comments so far, not just in the previous part, but both the previous parts. And to all the subscribers that came in, it's, like I said last time, it's very humbling. I didn't expect the channel to grow this much in just a handful of days, so thank you. Really, thank you. I was really thinking by the time I start recording part 3 it's gonna start fizzling out, but it's going. It's still going, and all I can say is thank you. I'm really humbled. I do not know what else to say about it. The channel is very rapidly and quickly approaching 1,000, and I think you can hear how giddy that makes me. So yeah, thank you very much for all the likes, all the comments. If you're sharing as well the videos with other people, thank you very much. That helps me quite a lot and the channel as well to grow, so thank you. Alright, but before I begin now with the usual recap, the rundown of what we're going to be including in today's episode. So, the timestamps, right? You've probably seen it. They are labeled, of course. We are going to be beginning today's episode after the recap is done with the case investigation files that I've mentioned at the last episode, that we took a blind look actually at the end of the last episode. So we're going to be including 2 of those into today's part at the beginning. Then we're going to continue with the story. And then after the story section is done for today, like I said, I think I also said it last time at the end, we will be including at the end of this episode the full file on Rosmontis and her voice files as well at the finale. And why those are included? Well, it will make much more sense once we are done with today's part. But that is the battle plan, so let us proceed with the quick recap of part 2. So, on the previous part, we pretty much began the story last time with the Vice President Jackson arriving at Rhine Lab. A lot of hubbub was being displayed around him as he is touring Rhine Lab. Lots of reporters, lots of military and security, but also Colonel Blake and his cronies are essentially snooping around the perimeter and are looking for an opportunity to pretty much assassinate the Vice President. However, every single one of them is being pretty much stopped in their tracks by the Mainlander Foundation agents, who are also sneaking around the whole perimeter and securing the target of interest. Meanwhile, the combo of the Doctor, Ifrit, and Rosmontis are also arriving at Rhine Lab. I'm gonna keep confusing those two because it's such a similar name. But the 3 of them are arriving at Rhine as they are gonna step into contact with Muse, that is gonna hand them a bunch of credentials to go through the laboratories, as they have been asked by the Tin Man to provide extra security and deal with extra military personnel from Colonel Blake. As we see later as well, because the combo of Rosmontis and the Doctor deal with a bunch of power armor, while Ifrit is in a underground section through which some pipelines with liquid originium are going through. And she very quickly finds two military personnel who are deploying some explosives just outside on a wall where a pipeline is passing. Ifrit does manage to very quickly dispatch the two of them, but Colonel Blake remotely detonates the explosives that have been posted down there, and Ifrit gets partially buried together with the two unconscious military men under the rubble. But as we've also seen, the explosion did occur, but the Vice President didn't suffer any injuries or died, or any personnel around him. No one essentially died in the explosion that occurred, considering that the convoy of cars that was supposedly carrying the Vice President and his personnel were pretty much dummies. And the President stayed behind while all of the while the hit happened, and will leave Rhinelab through a different route, escorted to safety. Meanwhile, Ifrit, who got buried below ground by the explosion, does get saved by the appearance of Saria, who, once again, very similar to the manga, pulls her out of the rubble, together with the two military guys. And as they are reacquainting with each other, they get joined by Silence, who bumps into them. The three of them exchange a couple of words, while suddenly they get besieged by a sniper from afar. Saria tries to block the sniper shots with her calcification, but this is a highly powered weapon that is being used by the sniper, and it actually manages to pierce through her calcification and injuring her and dropping her unconscious. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Rosmontis duo are kind of being besieged by security personnel throughout Rhinelab, as they are under suspicion of maybe being instigators to it and are trying to sneak out, because essentially, outside of Mainlander, the Rhinelab personnel and military there do not know that these two are also providing security. They're kind of undercover agents, but they do get bailed out by Muleses. And as they are... Well, the Doctor essentially is waking up from being unconscious once more. He spots Muleses, he spots Rosmontis, they exchange a couple of words, and the three of them get joined by an unexpected guest. Logan Williams appears in front of them, and he approaches Rosmontis and exchanges some words with her. The two of them obviously share a past, even though Rosmontis does not remember, and the feelings that do surface once he is there and starts approaching her are very, very painful, obviously, for her. The Doctor gets to execute some sweet physical contact with with the person in question. That felt nice, I'm not gonna lie. But the Doctor makes his escape as he leaves Rosmontis with the words to meet him at their home. The Doctor on the outside, however, does get interrupted as he's leaving by a clone from Muleses, as she engages in conversation with him, but ultimately doesn't stop him. And, sorry if I'm blacking out, right. And meanwhile, we see the Saria, Silence, and Ifrit trio are being pretty much saved out of the alley by none other than Director Jara, who escorts them to a safe place, but she gets then called away by a old friend and acquaintance, and that acquaintance being the being Ferdinand. They exchange a couple of words and are pretty much reminiscing about the past and discussing the current situation, as he is obviously looking for Kirsten. And then later we see a situation where the Tin Man, who was supposed to meet with the Doctor, gets to meet someone else before all of that, and that is Helak, who appears before him. They exchange a couple of pleasantries, but Ho engages in combat with the Tin Man and starts actually inflicting damage on him. She's inflicting damage on him because she has help and a supporter on her side. The supporter being the Banshee Nasty, who is close by and has been using the surrounding noise of machinery in the alley as a disguise so she can cast her curses without the Tin Man actually hearing it. Helak manages to land a couple of more blows on the Tin Man and actually manages to dispatch that old revenant, as just an empty shell of armor is left behind. Later, the doctor who was supposed to meet with the Tin Man arrives in the alley, as he finds the as the doctor finds the remnants of the Tin Man, but it also finds Helak still there. They engage in conversation, but surprise, surprise to Helak, who did suddenly have a moment of being very interested in the doctor and what they are, and who they are, essentially, does get surprised by the fact that it was not the doctor who was there, but Muse herself, who was using her water clones to produce a lookalike of the doctor, and the doctor themselves was back where Muse is with Rosmontis, but was listening in on the entire conversation for that part. And finally, we left off the episode last time on the team of Saria, Silence and Ifrit being pursued by military personnel sent by Blake and Ferdinand. But in a last-ditch moment, Silence does take up action, saves with her drone, or rather brings Saria and Ifrit with her drone to safety across the street into another building, while she faces the military alone and goes with them to meet Ferdinand Clooney. She steps in front of him, takes one of the transmitter solutions and injects it into her body, pretty much making her now a sort of compass to lead to the hub, to the new hub rather for the transmitter that is in Kirsten's hands. And that is where we left off. So, before we begin, let me now quickly show you what we're going to be covering today. Today, for the story, when it comes to it, we're going to be covering the next two stages, which are 5 and 6. But, like I said at the beginning, we are going to go into something else. And that is the case investigation. One extra detail that I have for today's episode, just for the extra flair, is this little thing. I did not accept the silence that you get from this event, obviously, after we beat Stage 5 yet. I'm gonna do that once we are actually done with the story on Stage 5, just to add this extra little flair to the episode. But let us begin with our part for today, which is gonna include the I did the wrong thing, which we are gonna continue with this. Last time we read part 1 for the mission briefing, which was pretty much about how it came to the DoD and stuff like that, investing into the Horizon Arc project and how we got to where we are. Today we are gonna look at the next one, which is an interview from the past, and we are also gonna look at the entry here, which is a diary entry. So, let us begin. Alright then, so this is the second document from the Shaft investigation line, titled Interview from the Past. We have two people here essentially talking to each other. One is the journalist, referred to with just J going later in the document, and the other one is Nasty, referred to just with the letter N throughout the document. So then, let's begin. Beginning with the journalist. Thank you for agreeing to this interview, Miss Nasty. Thank Jara. She put all my other work on hold, leaving you the only thing on my agenda. I just can't fathom why you reporters won't give me a break. It's a historic achievement for a sarcas like you to reach an executive level position in a Colombian tech company, so the public is very interested in you. So, should I go rent an enclosure at the zoo to stay in until your curiosity has been satisfied? Miss Nasty, I've met many others just like you, and no matter how much you deny it, surely it's as plain as day that nowhere but Colombia would have given you this opportunity in the first place. Let's just get on with it. Excellent. So, You learned architecture while in exile? Correct. Oh, I can already imagine the army of struggling college students resenting you for that. Though your Originium arts are quite unique indeed, I presume your Sarka's sensibilities must have helped a lot? They're nothing compared to other banshees. Does every banshee carry a pen as sleek and modern as yours then? No, this is my own redesign. Incredible. I think you might just start a new trend. Miss Nasty, you've always been upfront that you grew up in Kazdel. So why did you leave your homeland for Columbia? The Civil War was about to break out and I didn't want to get involved. That's it? That's it. Was there nothing more sentimental behind it? Perhaps you fought with your mother over which side to choose, or a brother Zeph left you distraught? That's none of your business. Miss Nasty, you may be unused to being on camera, but I would like to remind you that you're currently a figure of public interest. Every oppressed Sarkas in this country has their eyes on you, and your attitude might very well affect their circumstances. So, let's be honest with each other, shall we? Fine. It was neither someone's death nor the looming war on the horizon that made me leave Kazdel. To my knowledge, most Sarkas are rather belligerent. Why else would you people always be getting into wars, right? Though you personally are anti-war, are you not? No one likes war. Oh, I like this answer. A Sarkas pacifist. Lastly, I'd like to know, do you think you will stay on as the director of Orion Labs engineering section long term? I don't particularly care for the position. I'm only here because someone promised me a dream. A dream? And as she answers that question in Sarkas, a muddled dream. And that was an excerpt from an interview transcript from 7 years ago. Alright, the other thing we're gonna read through today is the diary entry, or part 1, for the hammer, as I'm gonna call it, because it's easier to pronounce. But this is a diary entry, and it goes as follows. Regardless of how the media will spin their story, I know at the very least that Columbia did not let the rights down. Their research funding applications should have been impeded at multiple phases, even with fanatical astrology schools and scientific conspiracy theorists after their lives. Columbia acknowledged their intelligence, and the country would never mistreat scientists of their caliber. So mainlanders sent me to solve their problems. Their deaths were purely an accident. If there was a conspiracy, it could only have been my own. They simply failed. Failure is an everyday occurrence in my business, while success is often accidental. Even the price they paid for it seems normal enough to me. Their lives. I really should just finish this report and send it to the Tin Man, before relaxing at my villa until my next assignment. That's how it should be. However, I had some history with the couple from work. Any practical difficulties they encountered were meaningless in the face of their zeal and cleverness. How could anyone hate them, people who explore the unknown, shining even brighter the more difficult the situation? Even if they were denied praise and recognition for their failure, they shouldn't have been mocked and ridiculed by both their peers and laymen after their deaths. Some fanatics even made pilgrimages to the crash site. I saw their daughter at the funeral as well. Kirsten Wright. She didn't cry or make a fuss. She simply looked at the sky. I could never forget the expression she had then. It's appeared in my dreams too often for that. I must do something for her. And this was a page from Jara Booker Wilson's diary. And that is the extra bit that we're gonna include here for today. Next time we're gonna include more of these at the beginning. But now we shall proceed with our story on stage 5, titled Beyond the Whale. The curtain closes on this farce. Is this the end or a new beginning? It's not getting through. Who are you calling, Saria? Tin Man. The metal guy? Did something happen? I'm afraid so. Maelander would not have joined our pursuers otherwise. The army has an agreement with Maelander. Why are they targeting us? What happened to the Tin Man? I had a look around the way you taught me, Saria. All the soldiers are gone, and so are the agents who were on us. The pursuers would not have disappeared if she was just staying as the rear guard. Unless she offered something that satisfied them. The silver liquid? I saw it around her. Transmitter? She was in contact with Dorothy at Site 359 and undoubtedly got the transmitter from her. Does Dorothy accept her to do something? Dorothy is still in military custody. She couldn't possibly be trying to reach out to the military and Ferdinand through her. Could it be Parvis or... Saria. Don't worry, Ifrit. She'll be fine. I'm trying to tell you not to squeeze your communicator so hard. You're crushing it. Thanks. I'm not worried. Silence isn't so reckless. She stayed after she talked to you. I'm sure she thought it through. She doesn't know what she's up against. The machinations of the state are far crueler than she can imagine. You think she doesn't know that? I'm sure she thought about it. Silence works hard. She's always working when I see her. The others say it's like she's being chased by something you can't see or touch. Maybe this will be all cleared up by the time we see her again. Then I'll tell her, yeah, I'm upset you left me behind, but I knew you could do it. Saria notices that Ifrit's hands are trembling. She wants to say something to comfort her, but words fail her. She realizes that even though Ifrit's words were in part intended to comfort, she does not know the silence that Ifrit speaks of. Silence is ready. Silence knows what she is about to face. She has never thought about it that way. Over there, Saria. The army is pulling out, but not in the direction of the military garrison. Is the transmitter really the clue to Kirsten's whereabouts? Let's follow them. Silence wouldn't want you to put yourself in danger again. She promised we would go together. She said Saria will return here the moment she wakes up. That's the sort of woman she is. It's not the rational way. That's what you're trying to say, isn't it? We're not here to take risks, not to waste Silence's courage. We're just waiting for her at the end. Ifrit. She realizes that Ifrit is much taller than she was a few years ago, when she was rescued from the laboratory. In the face of impending danger, there is no impatience or recklessness in her eyes, only courage and wisdom. Let's go. All right. By the way, Saria, I saw a falling star when I got to Tree Mounts. A star? You mean the object that fell on the Triton factory in District 13? It was a star! And Silence told me a story where all our differences disappear when the stars fall. You and Silence are gonna make up, right? Yes, we will. Great! Will they? Saria turns back to look at the familiar streets of Tree Mounts. The path she's about to thread suddenly feels unfamiliar. She has overcome many challenges. What lies before her is far from a crisis. But for the first time, she feels out of control. Meanwhile... Holy hell, I'm freezing! Look out, there's a car. That was a close shave. Can't even think clearly in this cold. I tell you, sir, this weather, it's all that tech company's doing. They use drones to spray chemicals that make our lungs freeze with every breath. They want to kidnap us, put our brains in jars, and turn us into nutrients for their artificial sun. Look up there in the sky. What? Those stars ain't stars. There are cameras that the monster set up there to watch over our every move. They even kidnapped our president, put his skin on, and locked all of Colombia under their control. Here's a few bills. Find a warm place to spend the night. I don't need money, sir. I'm just waiting for dawn to break. Between the two of us, I'm organizing a protest against the vice president and these tech companies. The people must wake up! Take this too. All my money. You can have it. Wait, sir! I knew I would find you here. Good morning, Ferdinand. One more cup of tea and the sun should be up. Time for me to go to work on the other side. Enough with the act, Parvis. When did you start working with Kirsten? You, Jara, Justin Jr. and Nasty. You fooled me into thinking that I had Kirsten isolated, that I was just one step from success. I became a laughingstock. My gamble, all my efforts, just another rung on the ladder of her to climb. Tea, Ferdinand. You. Underhanded, old goat. Let me make one thing clear. I don't know where Kirsten is. She doesn't trust me so much, and I'm not so interested in her secrets. But you didn't come to ask questions, otherwise you would have brought the muscle you borrowed from the Colonel, as you did with Jara. It's not like you to swallow insults from pioneers and come back to grovel at the feet of the Colonel after he abandoned you once. You set your mind to it. Why did you give up so close to the truth? No wild guesses. Perhaps you should look at yourself in the mirror, Ferdinand. You're jealous of her. You're jealous that she gets men to fight for her, even when she's not around. You're jealous that it only took her a few words to earn the loyalty that took you so much time and money to buy. You're jealous of her charisma. There's a part of you, somewhere deep down, that's enthralled by her. The more you deny it, the more you hate her. Why are you telling me this? Because it's how I feel. Look outside, Ferdinand. When I was little, I never saw stars in the night sky. All I saw was the silhouette of the Great Spire, the light of witchcraft lighting up the skies. Adults told me it was the eye of the Witch King, watching our every inch of Lithanian. And I thought, what was the meaning of life if the Witch King was the sole miracle chosen by fate? Didn't you despise the efforts of those stupid casters who wanted to summon the Witch King's souls? Yes, I opposed it. My kin and my former colleagues spent their entire lives trying to recreate a fleeting miracle in this time and age. But in my long years of research, I've realized that a miracle is so because it is a coincidence that cannot be controlled or recreated. Only such a coincidence can break the cage of fate that traps us all. You see Kirsten as that coincidence. She has the potential to create miracles. You have your dream and I have mine. If she is the fated miracle, then what are we? Waste coming off of the production line? Meaningless noise? Why despair, Ferdinand? Perhaps the fate of mankind does hinge upon one singularity who will break all shackles and become the eyes of all, to see sights that we could not have imagined. But that does not mean our lives are destined to fall by the wayside. Miracles are born in the journey of evolution, a journey made up of all our dreams, yours, mine, even that foolish tramp outside. Why are you telling me this? Feeling better? Have some tea. It'll put some color in your face, so you won't be so embarrassed when the kids see you on their way to work. I've lost everything. There isn't much for you to remember. I'm in no hurry. We can talk about work once you're done with your tea. It's always good to chat with an old friend. We took our first steps together, after all. Hello there, good sir. Megaphone and signboards? This is what you spend the money on? Not food and blankets? There are things more important than creature comforts. Give me that board. Rhine Lab. At least spell the company's name right if you're going to protest it. That's much better. Thank you, sir. Tell me, what do you dream of? What is the future you're fighting for? Meanwhile,
how do you like my vivarium, Doctor? Nobody can just barge in, and Rosmontis seems to like it.
Rosmontis stands quietly in the verdant lab. She carefully observes each plant, then meticulously records their form in her notebook. Her gaze stops on the last page of the notebook. You know it is where that letter is kept. Are you still reading the letter, Rosmontis?
Yes, Doctor. I want to remember what happened today and record it in my terminal before I forget. Logan Williams. What is the home that he talked about like? Is it like Rhode Island?
No way.
Then he's not my family. I don't like him, Doctor. I came into contact with many feelings that I didn't like through him. I want to pick them out and put them somewhere that won't bother me. Amia helped me clean them up before she left, but they keep growing.
What kind of feelings?
Loss. And destruction. I want to destroy them. It's not right. Piff would be angry. I shouldn't see Logan again. Should I, Doctor?
Do you want to learn about your past, Rosmontis?
Memories are precious. I don't want to use it on bad things. But I want to see with my own eyes again. I want to know what I would do. It may not be to learn. It may be to throw it away again. But I'll say goodbye properly this time.
Okay, we'll find Logan. Get some rest before that, though. You give Rosmontis your jacket and put it on her shoulders. Go to sleep.
Doctor.
The young feline lies down at your side, clutching the jacket you gave her tightly. Her breathing is fragile, yet resilient, as it is when she's awake.
She's tired.
Rosmontis' arts are heavily dependent on intention. The day took a toll on her.
What about you, Doctor?
Let's talk somewhere else. Let Rosmontis sleep.
Your brow's furrowed.
Should I cooperate with the Army's investigation, or should I surrender to the Mail-Ender Foundation? Rhode Island has been dragged into the maelstrom of Three Mounts.
The explosion at the Triton factory, the attack on the Vice President, Kirsten's disappearance. Three Mount is in chaos right now. It may be irresponsible to say this, but neither the Army nor the Mail-Ender Foundation have the time to deal with Rhode Island. You're not at the center of the maelstrom. No need to be so nervous, Doctor. Still, I'm responsible for your situation here. Our partnership's still good. You help me, and I'll do my best to help you. If it comes to it, I can arrange to get you, Rosmontis, and Iffy out of Three Mounts right now.
That's not what I'm concerned about, Mulesies. Sincerity is the foundation of cooperation. You're looking for both Saria and Kirsten? Are you trying to stop something or to put something right? Your position has been vague from the beginning. We're partners, but I don't know what you really think.
A dance, Doctor. It's no fun being interrogated like this.
Muse puts her hands behind her back, turns around and takes a couple of steps. She looks back at you with a rare, serious expression on her face. Music fills the air. It is a relaxed, soothing tune. You see moisture seep from the leaf veins, converging into a drop of dew. More drops appear, leaving the leaves and catching up to you and Muses. Moving with the flow of the melody, you see the rhythm of each droplet, light as breath. They are the melody itself.
Feel it, Doctor? It will guide our steps.
Your droplet seems free in this vivarium.
Very astute, Doctor. From lighting to interrogation to atmosphere control, none of the systems in this vivarium employ Originium technology. It is the cleanest place in Tremounts. This is the one place in Tremounts where I feel at ease. Oftentimes, I choose to operate through a clone not because I want to, but because I have to.
Muses disappears from your vision. You find your hand holding nothing but air. The droplets form a ribbon of water, gently pulling you towards a corner of the vivarium. An automated commentary. A pale fur is extremely sensitive to its environment. Pollution from Originium industries have reduced its habitat to a small number of hilly areas in Colombia. The droplets scatter and shatter, creating a mist between you and the furs. You see the faint silhouette of a tombstone. Muses sits quietly by it, picking away at the weeds that surround it. You have never seen her so sad. Is it a shadow of the past?
I grew up in an orphanage in Trenton, near Tremounts. The headmaster said I was found on the doorstep of the orphanage. No one knows who my parents are. I realized at an early age that I was different. My powers are unique, but they are not Originium arts. I'm much more sensitive to Originium than most people. Even a slight increase in Originium concentration is enough to affect my health. What am I? No one knows. That's why I've searched for the answer since I was little. Ironically, it's also the reason why my grades have always been good. Finally, I found that word hidden away in some ancient books.
Elves.
The word is not unknown to you. You do have many secrets, don't you, Doctor? Well, it's not important. Anyway, I tracked down my biological parents' old Tremounts home, but the house had long since changed hands. I followed the trail they left behind and eventually found where they went. It's this village right here, so remote I thought I made a mistake. Most of the buildings have fallen into ruin. They look to be centuries old. I didn't see anyone. I had a feeling as I went into the hills behind the village. I saw a simple cemetery surrounded by pale firs, where dozens of tombstones lay. This village was not an elven settlement. It was their graveyard.
Muse stands up, looks at you, and fades away into the mist before the firs. Your partner returns to your side. Elven nature forced you to distance yourself from modern civilization. Why did your parents abandon you?
They contracted oripathy. Elves are highly sensitive to Originium and lack resistance to oripathy symptoms. Few live more than a month after contracting oripathy. Like most elves, they could not accept spending the rest of their days in remote mountains and sought a more convenient, more advanced, more interesting life, despite the dangers. They knew Originium would kill them someday. They accepted it. Knowing their days were numbered, they left me behind in a village, far away from the cities, and returned to the place where they came from, to await the coming of death.
Are you looking for a way to change the fate of your people?
Next dance, Doctor.
More droplets rise in the vivarium as the music enters a new passage. The smile returns to Muse's face. The melody sings on. You do not know if the topic will continue.
Sometimes I envy Rhode Island. There are so many people there.
You came to Rhode Island.
Oh, you knew? I sneaked into once or twice to see if Fifi was doing well and see what Saria was doing. And I saw someone standing on the deck, gazing at the sunset, lost in thought.
I didn't notice you.
Don't tell anyone. Just one of my tiny clones. No danger to anybody. I thought, why would you be up on the deck with only your thoughts for company, when there's so much joy waiting down below?
I wanted to see if I could remember anything. I feel like there used to be someone I would watch the sunset with.
Did you find any memories of that person?
No. After all these years, all I know is a name.
So there are answers beyond even your reach. That makes things seem a little bit fairer.
She leads you on, doing a half pirouette. You're a good dancer.
Of course I am. I was the ace of my university dance team. After I left the village, I spent all my time studying. Every Colombian child knows that science and tech are the best ways to change your life. I studied to become the top of my class, then went to school in 3 months, where I stayed on top. I spent a lot of effort to blend into modern life. Fashion, gaming, literature, music, dance. I studied etiquette, met a lot of people. For others, these are hobbies, but for me, it's a mission, an exploration, a test. I know it sounds weird, but I tasked myself to live life as hard as I could. It's been a long time since I danced, though.
With Saria and Kirsten? The droplets go around you. The lights of the vivarium cannot penetrate them. They hold fragments of the past, gentle, clear, yet untouchable. The newly renovated lab mostly empty bottles Saria and Kirsten, and Muses with a disappointed look on her face. The three stare at each other in middle of the room, like 3 wooden mannequins.
New Year's Eve. Not long after Rhine Lab was founded, everyone was happy. I was the happiest. I met Kirsten and Saria shortly before I graduated. Kirsten is not your average investor's preferred partner. You know you're in for a surprise the moment you see her. And not all of them are gonna be pleasant. As for Saria, she just felt steady as a rock. My advisor happened to be involved with a project of theirs, but she wasn't very interested, so she sent me in her stead. I had nothing back then, other than my obsession with living hard. I tried everything and went nowhere. They helped me get over the period where I was lost between my identities as a graduating student and as an elf. It was just me, Kirsten, Saria, Parvis, and Ferdinand at the time. Parvis hid himself upstairs, saying he couldn't stay up all night. Ferdinand left early for other business. Can you believe it? At the end of the day, I couldn't find anyone to dance with me. I ended up grabbing Saria and Kirsten. None of us knew how to dance in threes. I can still remember the looks on their faces.
Why are you so obsessed with Kirsten?
Because of my dream. We agreed she would help Nasty set out on her journey, and she'll bring my dream with her.
The music ends. The vivarium is empty, except for Muses standing opposite you, calm as a pale fur. You hear the sound of the air circulation system running. The wind on your face feels unusually moist. The scent of plants, the soft earth. You realize that the droplets of water, the music, and the dance really existed.
You found my wobbliness, Doctor. Yes, I'm trying to manipulate everyone, including you. But everything I do for myself. The few kin that I have left, so we can breathe, feel the wind, run, travel freely. To make our journey a little less hard. All I've done, I did to keep the few friends I have, so that in this city, I won't be so... This is all I can tell you, all I can promise you.
There are a lot of things you haven't made clear. There are also a lot of gaps in your story. Should I trust you? You didn't really manipulate me, you know.
And so...
Help me one more time, Ulysses. I must find Logan Williams.
Even if I could help you, why do you not ask me to help you and Rosmontis get out of Tremount safely?
We've come too far to turn back now. Rhode Island only goes forward.
Sorry and Dr. Kaltzid have reasons to get involved, but what about you? Will you get to the bottom of all this, even if the price is a two-front war with the military and Mainlander? That's not the most logical choice.
I just want the truth.
Are you so interested in Kirsten's dream? Alright, we have a deal. Our partnership will go on.
Meanwhile... Who was that on the phone?
A lonely soul, searching for companions.
Since when have you two become such close friends?
We just happen to be going the same way for a while. Same for you. When are you going to leave my lab? The smell of alcohol affects the equipment.
That's so cold. Thanks to you and that agent's improvisation, I have a dozen calls to make tonight just to keep you out of jail. Like hell am I doing this sober?
You got what you wanted. Is Kirsten's price not enough for a businessman like you?
Price? Are you reminding me how much I lost to this crazy plan?
Then you should have gone to Casimir's.
Join the chamber and play with the knights and speculators. Yes, the plan has been lying in my terminal for years. I could make more money, and do so in a safer way. But all those great projects, they're about a nation, an era. I want to seize the opportunity before me, to see a future far beyond anyone's wildest dreams rise from my palms.
Is that a dream? From a practical person like you?
Anyone can dream, especially facing the fickle tides of fate. You put it astutely. Going the same way. Look at those scientists. For all the conflicts they went through, from friend to foe and from foe to friend, they all end up on the same path.
They all saw a part of themselves in the least likely of all futures.
What about you?
A meaningless question. What do you think I've tolerated your presence for so long?
That's why I like the going the same way part, even if it's only temporary. Miss Nasty Lunare, if we still have our life and liberty after tomorrow, will you come with me to the highest point in Tremount and take a good look at the sky that hasn't changed for thousands of years? Alright, and before we continue, we do have one new enemy to add here very quickly, which is the Offender production model. Unmanned attack vehicles primarily developed by Volvort Kuczynski. Equipped with advanced power units, they assault the enemy with their solid defense and high speed. Yes, very innovative. You put wheels on a rocket. Great. Anyway, we shall continue with the after part. A lot of noise. Another delivery from your engineering director.
Final tests will take about 45 minutes.
Plenty. My greatest achievement will be complete once this data is transferred.
I will retain your research records.
I know. Give it to that girl, or Helak, or someone else. I don't care. Being able to finish this research here in my final days almost lets me forget all the regrets in my life. I still remember how hard it was to accept when you showed this to me for the first time. Transition into flashback. The irony. How it scorns every coincident researcher who walks the halls of science for the past few centuries. It laughs in the face of our research, made all it worthless. What is this, Kirsten? How are you able to speak of its theories and emerge with such confidence when you've never performed a single experiment? This thing is beyond my understanding. Even more frightening is that all these tales you tell of these black cubes are true. Tell me, Kirsten. Tell me, what is this that I'm about to study?
That's your job.
Where did you find it? How did you gain this knowledge? Don't be so hard on a dying man, Kirsten. Who gave you this?
God.
Have I overestimated you, young genius? Do you believe in ghosts and spirits? Look up to the unknown in awe? Oh, you're not the kind of woman who would joke about this. You're not foolish or shameless enough for that, or to place your hopes in empty faith. I'll take your word for it. The irony. Back to present time. God. Another month has passed since God bestowed on me His mercy. In this short period of time, I completed more work than I could have imagined for decades. Even I can't help but wonder. What miracle do you plan to bring to the people of this land? Kirsten does not answer. She gazes at the stars outside the window silently, lost in thought. Meanwhile, another half an hour. I should start thinking about supper. Donut, fried fowl beast, hot dog. All of 3 months is up in arms over this place, but look how carefree the heart of the storm is. Who are you? I want the blueprint and efficiency data for the shaft and the associated facilities now. Sir, that's highly classified. Do you see my clothes, my security pass right here? Or do you need me to put Blake on the line for you? Oh, sir, I'll put it together. No need. The terminal right here. Turn it on. But, sir, this is raw data without visualization. I'm Ferdinand Clooney, Ryan Labs Director of Energy. I designed the Tremontian energy circulation system. The processor of the terminal in front of you is based on an Originium energy conversion formula named after me. The Clooney formula? You wasted 2 minutes. Data, now. Yes, sir. Seconds pass, then minutes. Ferdinand could almost hear the sounds of military convoys moving through the streets. Blake could find Kirsten any moment. He must hurry. For what? Here and here. Have these data been manipulated? Of course not. All the data are transmitted in real time to the Army's labs. It's more than my life's worth to upload false data. No one wants to go on the wrong side of the Army. It doesn't match. I beg your pardon? The structure of the shaft, the distribution of the pipelines, and the performance of the existing propulsion system, none of them is right. Just discreet enough to avoid notice. Damn. That can't be. You must be mistaken. No, I suppose not you of all people. Perhaps this is a temporary plan for experimentation and development, and adjustments will be made before the official launch. What's the plan for the official launch? Hammer should be on a mobile plate near the shaft. Kirsten stole the entire plate. But the propulsion device is still here. The army has impounded all of the launchers that were under construction. Even if she manipulated the data, she couldn't... Not with this propulsion performance. Unless... Get Blake on the line. Huh? Now. This had better be important, Ferdinand, for you to bother me at a time like this. Listen, Nasty Lunar Ray is one of Kirsten's. The propulsion device that she designed does not have the performance to lift Hammer off the ground. Justin Jr. might have brought out your scientists to cover up Kirsten's real goal. They're working together. So you're telling me everyone in Rhine Lab is complicit in Kirsten's suspected treason? I'm not... You need to tell me something new. What? If the researcher you sent me is actually useful, then I'll drag that control of yours from that stolen hammer soon enough. Which is to say, I will soon know how many insurgents there are in Rhine. Then Rhine... Is there anything more important that you want to report? No, sir. Congratulations in advance on your successful mission, Colonel. Close the file. Yes, sir. Is there anything else you need? Do you have a maintenance aircraft? The kind that can reach Hammer's theoretical ceiling? Yes, we do. I need to borrow it. But didn't you say Hammer wouldn't fly because of propulsion issues? Or can it? You're right. We took our first steps together. What? I mean, you're right. Maybe I was mistaken.
Strong transmission reaction. I can feel a lot of it lying ahead.
Right in the middle of urban tree mounts. Yes, sir. The area ahead is sewage treatment and garbage disposal. Very few people live here. You mean Kirsten Wright hid Hammer in some other building right under our nose? The target may have set up jammers in the area. Our guys didn't detect any signals when they passed through. Those egghead sons of bitches and their tricks. Should we turn the place upside down? No, that'll take too much time and draw the enemy's attention. Can you locate it?
I need to borrow your neural electricity stimulator.
Do you know how to use that?
I believe Ryan developed it.
There's no getting away from you people, is there? Give it to her. Yes, sir.
Cranial electricity will trigger resonance in the transmitter inside me. Resonance will also occur in any nearby transmitter strong enough for your sensors to detect.
Go on. I got a reading. It's increasing in strength.
Increase output by 10%.
Pre-epilepsy symptoms. Should I take over? I have Mac operating experience and long-range arts unit implants. Our transmitter is from Site 359. It's the only one that will work.
Proceed. I can take it.
We got a stable signal. Coordinates have been synchronized to officer terminal, sir. Good. We know where Hammer is now. Proceed to the target ASAP.
Handkerchief. Now you can even see through all that sweat. Thank you. Director Jara, did the soldiers bother you? Oh, no, just usual chit-chat. Did you say anything? Nothing. The funny thing is, I don't even know anything. I know Kirsten like Kirsten knows me. I didn't sign on to her adventure, and she refused to let me risk my remaining life for her. Control is lucky to have you. Lucky? No, I don't think so, Silence. When I look at Kirsten, I don't see the inscrutable dominating control of Rhine. I only see a girl too proud to bow her head. Maybe time stopped 20 years ago for both of us. You mean the day when Control's parents were killed in a flight test accident? It was supposed to be a sunny, cloudless day. Is it regret? Remorse? Is it because I watched them fly to their end because I didn't check their flight plan carefully? Or because I didn't expect the government and capitalists would allow that sensitive little girl to become the target of all the attacks on her parents in order to protect their name? No, it's neither. It was just one failure, even if it was my only one. It should be nothing for an experienced agent. But I could never forget the look in her eyes. That ball of fire falling from the sky continues to burn in her eyes. It's appeared in my dreams on many a night. I don't want to see it extinguished again. You left the Mainlander Foundation because of Control. A scientist stops being a scientist when she develops an emotional attachment to her test subject, huh? You of all people should understand. I was never a mother. But I have a child.
Gamma and Delta squads in position, sir. Everything looks normal with the target building, scanning for potential hostiles. Wait, is that? A Mainlander drone? So that's why the goddamn agents didn't show up. They were tracking our aircraft. Why didn't they find out about the plate then? Were they waiting for us to do our job then pick up the scraps? Mainlander's eyes are everywhere.
Columbia has changed a lot in the past 20 years. I used to protect people like the Wrights from conspiracy theorists and technophobes.
I suppose even the great Mainlander can be wrong at times. Look at the mad scientists out there. They're the greatest threat. Message from Mainlander, Colonel. They're syncing the drone's data with us. Less than 10 life forms within 10 clicks of the target. We had an elite squad keeping an eye on Kirsten before she disappeared. Are you telling me that a bunch of scientists and a few assistants took out an entire squad of commandos? Maybe we went to the wrong place?
No. That's not impossible for the Control I know.
Keep your eyes open. Don't let your guard down. What was that? I think we just hit something, sir. No, sensors aren't picking up anything. It's wind. It's a wall of wind. We can't maintain altitude. Losing altitude. 500, 400, 350. Out of my way. Give me the controls. That's the building's outer wall. We're gonna hit it.
First one.
What happened? That's the Colonel's aircraft. It fell into the building at 10 o'clock. Gamma squad, to the crash site now. Did the enemy come from the air? Why didn't we get any warnings from the Mainlander drones? No, we lost all communications. Mainlander's eyes all went out at the same time?
The second one.
Total loss of communications with Mainlander? This is FUBAR. Isn't their shit supposed to be cutting edge? Large number of hostiles. 10, 11, no, more! Ambush! Raise the Colonel! There's too many of them! Hold! Hold! The Mainlander douchebag said there was less than 10. Was the data wrong, or did they screw us? Ugh. It's not the data that's wrong. Colonel, you're safe! Form up! Gamma and Delta, pull back and find cover. Have the power armor assault team move up. Let everyone know, we're facing the latest prototype unmanned power armor.
Third one.
The walls of the room block all screams, but the explosions can be clearly seen on the monitors. Helak does not look at the screen. Her eyes have not left the book since the first prey stepped into the trap. She swings her tail back and forth in boredom, pressing one button after another, directing the show happening not far from here.
Where are you going?
To fulfill my final wish.
I sneaking out to meet someone again? You'll die out there, and I won't be there to save you. Don't croak before the work is done. Otherwise...
You can't take it from me. It's not ready for activation yet. Only an ugly death awaits if you rush it.
I know. I've heard it enough times.
Take it as words of wisdom from a dying man. You're too young to be showing the madness of the impending end.
Time does not treat us all fairly. Go, old man, and dream your last dream before death carries you away. Good night. As for me, it's time for me to deal with my last problem.
Helak puts down the book and hooks something from the pile of books with her tail. A metal head. She blows lightly at the head and sees the white vapor pass through the metal shell, then dissipates into thin air without going anywhere.
It's not every day that you get to see Mainlander agents work with commandos. Are you really sure you don't want to come back from the dead, my dear old employer? You'll miss the best parts. Who's the enemy? Only someone with the internal access codes can disable all of Mainlander's eyes at the same time. Control has someone from Mainlander with her. An elite Mainlander agent, codename Helak. She took over the task of monitoring Kirsten from me. I wasn't sure if she had turned traitor until now. Helak? Yesterday. Helak means yesterday. It's unknown whether it's her codename or the one she was born with. Kirsten brought her to Rhine Lab 1 year ago, saying she was Rhine Lab's new biological consultant. I looked into her background, but found nothing. Mainlander had concealed most of her files, of course, but that wasn't much of a problem for me. Not even Mainlander knows about her past. It's like she popped into the world yesterday. Her knowledge, her powers, her arts, none of them have anything to do with modern technology. Have you ever heard the legend from the days when the world was just a barren land? She's Liberi, she's Phidia. She rides with the wind and dances with the stars. She's the last elder still blessed by the heavens.
Forward! Forward! Stay in formation. Cover the others. Wait up! Wait, up in the sky. Hostile approaching. Take aim! Energy beam. Wait. How could this be? It won't fire. Are our weapons being attacked? No, the weapon's fine. It's the sky that's being affected. Unknown energy interference in the area. A great force takes hold of him. Even in his metal armor, the soldier feels frail and helpless, like a naked infant. He waves his limbs futilely, but he could not control his body, or the exoskeleton wrapped around it. He is flung like a plastic toy, smashing into another power armor. Silver-green shadows leave the shattered armor. A silhouette approaches slowly in the smoke. G212 Alpha 13 abandoning exoskeleton. Hostile contact. Support requested. How many hostiles? 1.
1. I'm afraid I'm the only one you're facing. Do you need time to surrender?
Meanwhile,
We're almost there. That's the hideout Kirsten prepared for Logan.
we walked a few hours underground. I thought the end of the passage would look more normal. Where did you get your info, Muses?
I befriended a straightforward engineer. Phew, I've smelled better. Kirsten hasn't changed. You could throw her into a garbage dump when she's in the middle of an experiment and she wouldn't care one bit. Did you know that Saria and I picked all her clothes? Even Saria is more concerned about fashion than she is. And
did the army find a place? They're fighting.
drat, we don't have time.
Time for what? Shouldn't we be more cautious?
Doctor, Logan is a convict with a few hundred years on his sentence. You want to take Rosmontis to see him? Then you have to beat them to it. How do you plan to explain to the military if they find us together?
Rosmontis... Rosmontis?
What's with the kitten? Is she thinking about something?
I think she's sensitive to the battlefield environment. There's something interfering with her thoughts.
Keep an eye on her, Doctor. I need to find a way in. Maybe I can use my water to get in through the vents, and then hack the door secrets.
No need to look, Muses. The door is open, Rosmontis.
This is...
Kirsten built a lab inside. Logan's lab.
Logan. I remember this place. It's not my memory. I've never been in this corridor, but my eyes, ears, mouth, emotions, they all tell me that I've walked a path like it.
Welcome home, child. Welcome to the court that I prepared for you. Alright, and very quickly before we continue on with stage number 6, let's make a little stop and pick someone up.
Doctor, この先、ロドスでの滞在時間はどうしても減ってしまうと思う。だけど、ロドスとのつながりはますます強くなっていくってことだけは保証するよ。だって、私はロドスを、あなたを信じているから。
There we go. And now we can continue on to stage number 6, titled Gathering of Heroes. She stands tall at the edge of the passage as the land moves slowly away. And we begin with a flashback.
The flowers. They're so beautiful. Have you come to see me again? I don't know today's flowers. Can you teach me how to spell them?
Of course, Narcissa. What do you want to do after you learn it?
I want to put these petals in my picture book, just like I used to. Mom loved flowers. Dad knew a lot about plants, just like you. They're not around anymore, but I want to record these new flowers and tell them about them when I visit their graves. You'll bring me there, right? It's almost April.
Narcissa, my child. You're always the strong one. Leave the flowers on the table. I'll teach you writing once I'm done with my work.
It smells good. What's for dinner?
Why did you come over here? Sit down over there. We're having your favorite potato soup.
I'm hungry. Can you cut quicker?
Do you want to help out? No need to be scared. I'll hold your hand.
Like this?
Well done. You'll be even better in the future.
Future? Will I grow up to be as tall and strong like you? Become a great scientist?
No, you'll be greater than I am. Much greater. Does the wound on the back of your head still hurt?
Not anymore. My brothers gave me lots of sweets. They say that one sweet before going to bed helps me with the pain and makes me dream of cotton candy.
Good girl. You can have them once you've had dinner. Then there's a place I want to take you to.
Over at the corridor? The place my brothers went yesterday? They said there's a nice garden there, just like those in the storybooks, and that's the place you get your flowers.
Yes. Those who pass through its doors are blessed by fate.
At the end of the corridor is...
Rosmontis? Rosmontis! I can't get the door open. Any ideas, Muses? We need to go. Rosmontis! Don't go! Not alone!
Rosmontis. Who is Rosmontis? Who is Narcissa?
Welcome.
You're waiting for me.
Always have been.
Where are the doctor? Where are the others?
Where they were. This court does not need an audience.
Court? Is this a court? Who's on trial?
I, Logan Williams. I am both accused and accuser. In these last moments before fate devours me, I implore you to witness my life. Here and now, I confess to all my crimes. Greed. Yes, my teacher reproached me. He chided me for my recklessness and admonished my extraction of infected organs from the dying as being both illegal and immoral. He said my actions did not help patients, only accelerated their deaths. They were already dying. Their consciousness had already passed over to the other side. I did not intend to cause any more pain, nor did I change their fate. But my teacher did not agree. He and his teacher pronounced my death sentence in academia, in a private trial with no justice to speak of. They refused to admit that greed is a virtue for a scientist. A small-town boy's biology education is limited to delivering burden beast calves, unless he musters the courage to dissect a newborn calf in the middle of the night. The thirst for knowledge was enough to overcome his empathy. He needed to seize every opportunity to climb, to continue on the path of exploration. Cowardice. I have not often been found wanting of courage, but there was one thing that I yielded to. Maylander banned me after my teacher reported me, a mark of shame that shut me out of all universities and government-sponsored research institutions. It was the cruelest punishment you could inflict on a scientist in his prime. They stripped me of my rights to research. It was akin to murder of the soul. I began drowning myself in drink. For a year and 10 months, I forced myself to face my trembling hands so that I could forget the pain of not being able to hold a scalpel.
That was when they found me. They, the shameless rascals. The Department of Defense. They funded the Logan water tank. In return, I was to develop the most powerful weapon for them in 5 years. Science is neutral, pure, and free. Practical value, especially in terms of weaponization, can only be a burden for science. I did not want to contribute my research for them, but they knew what my weakness was. Knowledge is expensive. Instruments, equipment, materials, down to the bricks that make up the laboratory. It all takes money. Building the lab of my dreams cost more than building a skyscraper in the middle of 3 mountains. I had to admit my weakness and prostrate myself before their power. How pathetic. Is this nation any less so? They have allowed barbaric power to control the lifeline of science. There is no one more short-sighted than the soldier. They are at the helm of science, yet they know not how to use such precious knowledge except to kill their own kind. Folly. Yes, folly. The most unforgivable crime that a scientist can commit. The foolish soldiers are easy to deceive, getting subcutaneous arts units. The result of billions in investment was enough to satisfy them. But I was too busy, too obsessed with my research to realize the weakness and ambition of those around me. A foolish student of mine handed parts of my experiments data to the Department of Defense. They learned what Logan water tank was really researching and were eager to see results, even threatening to take direct control. How could I allow them to steal my dream when I was so close to finishing my masterpiece? You took a risk. You failed. You lost everything. Narcissa destroyed your lab. That wasn't so bad, but that Mainlander came again. They took Narcissa, robbed you of your dream again. They were like a walking corpse. The Department of Defense confiscated their scraps that wanted you to repay the billions of investment. You could not repay it, and we refused to work with them anymore. So we were thrown into prison like a piece of rotting meat that no one paid any further attention to. That was my greatest crime. Failure. Now my final and greatest failure stands before me. Narcissa! The only flower in my garden that has not been trampled into the mud. Broken, but still beautiful. Look at me. Look at the Logan Williams who raised you, educated you, oppressed you, tormented you. You witnessed me inches away from the summit and witnessed my fall from grace into the abyss. Now I invite you, child, to be the stick that measures my pain, my regrets, my crimes. You are the only one fit to do so.
Meanwhile, push forward. Area suppressed. Gamma and Delta. No more reinforcing power armors. Excellent. Continue the attack and prepare the breach to breach the building. Urgh.
Not so fast.
Colonel!
Should I start with you? Will killing you buy more time?
You traitor!
Traitor? We have always been enemies. Who have I betrayed? How fragile. Should I have done this a long time ago? You almost killed our beloved Vice President. Maybe I can exchange your head for a pardon.
All units, attack!
You want to be a martyr? Perhaps I should oblige. Oh, there you are, hero. The military and Mainlander have this building surrounded. You can't win. Win? It's not victory that I'm looking for. It's a chance. Same for Kirsten. No chance is worth so many lives, including your own. You think so? Compared to my knowledge, my own life has always been insignificant. I've seen so much history, but to time, I'm hardly even a passing breeze. That's my life. My poor, boring life. A tiny little bit of time, but a chance to touch eternal knowledge, even for an instant. How can it not be worth it? You've even fascinated by death. Don't get me wrong. I'm just curious. I know thousands of ways to die, over hundreds, thousands of years of history, but I only get to die once. Period. Full stop. Standing between accumulated memories and the possibilities of the future. How does it feel?
You'll find out. Pure, unadorned power. There was no animal blade growth. Zarya simply focused all her strength on her hand. There was no originium arts involved. That is why the fist was able to penetrate the distorted air.
Oh dear. Looks like I've lost. I guess that's it, Zarya. Come in here and make it quick. Or maybe not so quick. I should savor the moment. I only get one chance after all.
You mad woman.
What about you? Did you think yourself a creature of reason in all of that you do? You wanted to prevent disaster in the most efficient manner. You're standing at the door. Why don't you work with the military?
They tend to make things worse.
What about Mainlander? They have been your firm allies for the past 5 years. They made the decision to work with the military. Oh, and the adorable little Liberi. The little brown bird so full of morality and empathy. I saw her in one of the military aircraft. I don't know you had that expression in you. Your hands are growing weaker. Everything is going out of control, even your own heart. Is it not a strange feeling to a woman like you?
Your taunts are meaningless.
Poor Zarya. You're not what your eyes, your hands, every inch of your body is saying. Are you sure you don't want to run over to the lab? Right there? This instant? It may already be too late.
You... In an instant, Helak is standing on top of the half-collapsed wall. A few more leaps and she is gone from the battlefield.
The door of the lab is broken. How could it be? Logan? Well, time is almost up anyway. Might as well call it a day.
Meanwhile,
You're Logan. You came to the orphanage every Friday evening. You brought different flowers each time. Your clothes always had a strong smell to them. The smell of swimming pools and freshly painted fences. I didn't really mind that smell. I wanted to tell you that you didn't need to hide it with flowers. But I didn't say anything because I liked your flowers. I liked the stories of plants that you told. It reminded me of Dad.
Good. Your memories are coming back.
Yes, I'm remembering. You used to be very nice to me. Then you became very mean.
I'm sorry, child. I'm sorry. I promised you. I wanted to give you a happy future. You and your brother should have been the perfect life forms. You would have redefined Originium arts, freed yourselves from the shackles of talent, the plague of oripathy. Yes, you. No, we should have conquered fate itself together. Why? Why couldn't I do it? It ruined us both!
Why are you crying? Tears falling on the hand. Salty, painful. I have seen you cry before. That day... No, I don't want to remember. I don't want you in my memories. It's painful to forget, but even more painful to remember you.
Don't forget. Remember me, please remember me. Remember the criminal.
Filled with guilt. Filled with pain.
No. My brothers. Why? My memories are coming back. My head hurts. It's cold.
Grab me. Grab my neck. Clutch it in your hands. Do you feel the pulsating veins? The blood is warm. It won't be cold anymore.
Blood. How could it be warm? It's colder than ice. More suffocating than water. It's you. It's all you. You took my life and my brothers away. You turned me into...
A monster. A weapon. A destroyer.
Then kill me. Destroy my broken body. Crush my guilty soul. For all that you've lost.
Kill you. Will all the crimes disappear if I kill you? The lives that people should have lived won't be taken away again? They can be with the ones they love?
I can't lie to you anymore. But at least I deserve it. Time is short. I'll have company soon.
I'll go to them. I won't let anyone stand in the way of what's right. Doctor, the army men are coming. We need to go deeper. Hurry!
Rosmontis.
Old Logan's locked the door. This building is like a maze. It's got Nasty's handprints all over it. We've been at it for a while now, but we still have no clue where they are. I'm concerned about the kitten, but I doubt an old, sickly scientist like Logan could do anything to her.
He wants to retrieve Rosmontis' memories. He wants to incite Rosmontis' rage. Then have Rosmontis kill him. That's his gift.
Huh. Did he finally go off the deep end? They say being in prison too long makes you go crazy. But, well, I'm not sure I should say it, but the kitten has a reason to be angry after what Logan did to her, doesn't she? I was angry when I first saw Ify's experiment logs, angry enough that I wanted to flood those ruins 6 feet deep. Logan would be getting what he deserved, just assuming that Rosmontis really had vengeance on her mind. I'm not sure I'm really in a position to stop her.
I just don't want Logan to get what he wants. And I want Rosmontis to do what she wants. I want to find her. I want to be with my family.
Then we'd better hurry. That was close. We almost got roasted together. Army power armors. Get inside. Doctor, we have to... Over here! Am I starting to hear things? Why do I feel like I just heard Ify's voice?
Come with me! What's wrong with you? Step on it! You FNG or something?
You're the FNG! It's sounding more and more like
Target, 3 o'clock.
So that's how it works. It's so complicated. I'd rather use my fire.
Ifrit. The power armor convulses a few times before you. Then a fiery red girl leaps out in a shower of sparks.
Doctor? Mumu? You're both here.
You can drive a mech? Isn't this thing supposed to be a nightmare to drive?
It's a piece of cake for a genius like me. Alright, well, Saria modified it, so she's the genius. Ask her the details, she's close. Saria's here too? If only she would let me do stuff myself. Why don't you look happy, Mumu? It's not that. Wait. That's the way Rosmontis went. The power armor went there?
Go, go, go! Hostile cut! It's a young girl. Sensors indicate a presence of an elderly male further in. Should we wait. Giant floating weapons. High threat target identified. Attack!
You're a soldier. Cold outer shell, no warmth, no emotion. Are you fighting bad people? Do you stand with the people who have been hurt?
Possible unidentified high threat test subject. Requesting permission to engage. Ooh!
No, you don't have your own will. You don't think about right and wrong before you act, do you? Then you're just a puppet on strings. Go away, or I'll destroy you too.
Boy oh boy. Anyway, before we proceed into our final cutscene, we have 2 new enemies to add to our collection, one being the Ark Frontliner, and it says, deadly soldier from an experimental unit outfitted with cutting-edge equipment. However, the instability of their gear is their weak spot. This guy has a freaking lightsaber. We're Star Wars, baby. The other one is the Crossroads production model. Unmanned defensive vehicle primarily developed by Volvert Kuczynski. They emit mid-length lasers in all 4 directions, providing excellent defense in narrow corridors and significantly hindering the enemy even in open terrain. All I can say about this one is, danger, Will Robinson, danger! Danger, Will Robinson, danger! Sorry. Let's continue with the after part.
Cut the potato open and put it in the water piece by piece. Skulls are much harder to cut. Tear the softest tissue in the human body and the cotton candy easily scattered by a gloved hand. Crush. Flowers are crushed in the trembling palm, the juice is sticking to the skin, dripping onto new leather shoes. Scream. The instruments sever the nerve so quickly that it can take a life without its owner noticing, just like the use of anesthetics. Cry. My dead brothers cry on the operating table. Why were they the ones who had to be killed? Why was I the one who was made to live? No, no. They are not dead yet. They're behind me, hammering and crying. There was never a garden. There was only cruel imprisonment and cutting. A cage that treated our lives like toys. I want to destroy the cage. As do I. The lab models are being torn apart? They're made of advanced reinforced materials. How can they be sliced apart like potatoes?
Rosmontis, she's lost control.
The ground is being peeled like an apple. We'll be crushed into pulp.
Someone needs to stop her. Amia could calm Rosmontis down, but she's not here. I'll try.
You don't mean you're going by yourself, do you? Do you see how shredded that power armor? Do you see how she shredded that power armor like paper? You're just a regular human. You are human, right?
True blue flesh and blood.
I'll go.
Ifrit?
This is no time for jokes, Yuffie. The Diablo within you... Well, your power is plenty dangerous too. Don't tell me you mean to... No. I won't use its power. I'll do it myself. That's a promise between me and Rosmontis.
Requesting support. The communicator, it's crushed. What the heck are you?
Don't!
What?
I know what you want to say. Don't say it. She's my friend. My good friend. We're more than friends. We work together and fight together. Rosmontis. I'll destroy everything that's not right. A lab like this. It should never have existed. I get it. Damned lab coats, damn labs, and all those damn things that tormented us should have been burned to ash a long time ago. Of course we have the right to be angry, to yell, to destroy it all. But we don't have to do it. Why? Are you going to stand in the way of what's right? You're tough, but it'll take more than that to stop me. I won't let you become like Daria, Rosmontis. We promised to see the city together and go back to Rhode Island together. I don't want to admit it, but you've always been better than I am. You're an elite operator, and you've done so many amazing things. Think of Amia, think of Blaze, the big cat. Think of the doctor. They have soft palms, their clothes smell clean, and they hug like warm blankets. Blankets? There are people who love us. Life isn't fair, but after all the scum we had to put up with, we still ended up meeting some really good people. Silence's stories always have a happy ending. I know, she made up a bunch of them. Saria is always strict about my homework, but she helps me up when I fall down. Don't destroy those memories. You can stop now, Rosmontis. Stop? If we...
The vibrations weaken. Ifrit grabbed Rosmontis' hand.
Yes, Ifrit, you remember me. No way you could forget. You didn't find out I ate those cookies yet. Cookies you hid yet. Yes, I think you're right. It wasn't the doctor who ate the cookies. I should correct the terminal entry.
What's that about cookies?
You look like you're hurting. Why are you laughing? I want to laugh. You didn't lose control, right? Even the doctor was worried about it. But you just wanted to do what you wanted to do in your own way. Yeah. It's okay. Saria is worried that I'll lose control too. It's not a lack of trust. They just worry too much. As for the bad guys, the power they planted in us, the scars they left behind, none of that can control us. We're the only ones who can. We can turn the tables and laugh in their faces. Like this? Yes. Lift those corners of your mouth. Find it, Logan, and tell him he's nothing to you. Logan. Alright, I'll find him. I know what to say now. Things have calmed down. Ifrit did it. She calmed Rosmontis down. Talk about a close one.
Rosmontis' arts left cracks in the walls around you. The walls of the maze have been destroyed, revealing a hallway deeper into the building. What is that room for, Muses? I see... Huh? This is a vivarium. Your vivarium. Why is there a vivarium in Hammer? It's connected to Logan's lab.
Kirsten remembered.
And in the deepest reaches... Sarcophagus. You are sure you saw the sarcophagus? It is unmistakable. It is the starting point of all memories you have. Even the dizziness is exactly the same. Logan is helping Kirsten study the sarcophagus? Does she want to destroy herself? No, Muleses? Muleses does not answer. You reach out and touch nothing. There is only a small splash, the reflection of bubbles. The real Muses stands at the heart of the vivarium. You're leaving me? You're leaving us?
Doctor, I promised to take you and Rosmontis to see Logan. Our cooperation is over, now that its goal is complete. You can't go any further. We say goodbye here.
You planned this from the beginning. That's how you got the address.
No. I lied again. I really am evil, aren't I? That hard-head nasty. I told her I made my choice, when I really hadn't. I only just now made it the moment I saw this vivarium. I'm sorry. I came only to confirm one thing. Yes, this is where my dreams are. The vivarium and the future it carries. This is my dream. It's the answer for me and my people. Kirsten promised to take it with her. She didn't lie to me. She just didn't tell me. Maybe she got tired of my cloaks and daggers, how a part of me never seems to be there. Maybe she never stopped believing in the trust between us. She really did it. So I should keep my promise. Tell Saria I'm sorry.
The water pushes you away. It is soft, but irresistible. You return to the outer hallway. The lab doors closing before you. The water disappears, leaving no trace behind. Your hand is empty again, but this is no longer just an intermission in the middle of a dance.
It's time. Can I go now? The deal is done. You can leave at any time. You promised me. You'll find it on your terminal. Is this is this the entirety of Logan's research? No, there's another address. A blurred one. It looks familiar. You've really done a lot right under a Mainlander's nose. I'm starting to actually respect you. What a shame. What's that? You won't see the sky that you should have gotten to see. The stars? My people have played with them long enough. I've given you all the information I should. Do you really think those twisted spots of light are worth looking at? No, not the sky we see today. Its true aspect in the future. Enough. I know about your great plans, but that future doesn't belong to me. As long as your data is legit, I'll be able to fulfill my ancestors' dreams and recover my true power. The power that you desire could not even overcome time. You understand that it could be machines that fly the skies of the future, or other evolving life forms. But not a shadow from 10,000 years ago. Are you mocking me? Mocking my blood, my memory, my destiny? You. Sacrificing your entire race just to return to the past. Is it really worth it? Whatever. I've got what I wanted. Let's say goodbye in peace.
Helak jumps down the monitoring platform. She does not turn around to look at Kirsten. She does not want Kirsten to see the look on her face.
You. We meet again.
They are silent for a moment. Past and future pass by each other without making contact. "5 minutes.
I can't get the door open. Here. Huh? It's the weapon you lent me? Not lent, gave. It's yours. You just need practice. Practice, You're free once you go out from here. The agents and soldiers are too busy to bother. They found Hammer and achieved their goal. They won't bother you anymore. Run to 3 months. There you'll still be Researcher Silence. You want to go in the most dangerous direction, don't you? You could put your life in danger. You may never be able to escape Mainlander's gaze ever again. It'll be a struggle of a lifetime. You may lose some things forever. Freedom, the life you know, the trust of your family and friends, the right to live under the sun, and yourself. Are you sure you want to live like that? I don't know. I have seen the problem resolved with my own eyes. I haven't seen the problem resolved with my own eyes. I don't want to give up halfway. You're a talented scholar, a good doctor. Have you made up your mind to become a warrior? Maybe I'll never be a warrior, but I'll grasp the weapon you gave me tight, if necessary. Very well, child. Go forth with my blessing. Thank you, Director Jara. By the way, Control, Kirsten could be just ahead. Don't you want to see her? Do I? Of course I do. But I doubt I can catch her.
Jara gazes at the laboratory. Then she turns her gaze toward the sky.
You got it yet?
Not yet.
Keep going. The core of Hammer should be in here. As Kirsten. She could have escaped right under our nose.
3 minutes.
Ifrit? Saria, did you find a way in? Not yet. This place is weird. Even after Rosmontis crushed most of the other wall like a cookie, it's not revealing any of the stuff inside. It's not a complete building. What? You're right, Ifrit. It's not a lab. It's... Did she install her parents' propulsion device on... How could it be? No. How did I not think of it until now? Saria, where are you going? If I break the wall... She must have expected me. It's pointless.
Then what has a point? You can't change anything. Would we be too late?
No. I have to...
Have to what?
Saria. Silence? You need to get out of here. It could be... No. Saria, I didn't come here to listen to you talk like that. I know how far a scientist would go for her dream. I know that feeling of rapture, which is why I know the strength it takes to fight it with morality. You've long been seeking a balance between science and order. You'll do well. Perhaps too well. Your order is falling apart, but if you're willing to let balance go, perhaps you'll find your roots amidst the chaos. Find my roots. I believe you can. We have all things to do. Let's part here. I can tell you now, Saria, how much I looked up to you. How much I wanted to walk by your side.
1 minute.
Well, there goes a rare friend. How do you plan on making it up to me, Kirsten?
30 seconds.
Narcissa, you've returned. Are you ready to pronounce judgment?
Yes, I want to kill you. Not for revenge. I hate you, but Ami and the doctor both say that revenge won't bring back the ones I love. Not for destruction. You want to use me to destroy you. I won't. I'm not your weapon. You're just a criminal. You're nothing to me. I'll do what the law and prison could not do. I hereby sentence you to death.
Good. Good. How does that song go again? Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. Soon, very soon.
Severe tremors shake the earth. Like something very strong and resilient is about to break out. You gaze at the rising inner corridor and see a figure through the windows. Kirsten. A name that has been on many lips these days. Lunatic, genius, foe, friend. Or perhaps a dreamer who does not belong to this time. You see her with your own eyes for the first time. She continues to look up at the sky, as though the blank emptiness is the only thing she should care about. Whoa, what's going on? A familiar silhouette appears.
Monster.
It unfolds in an instant, grabbing your shoulders lightly with sharp claws, the massive figure covering you fully. Then an even more massive shadow rises behind Monster. Hamhrr. Now you can see that the mysterious ring corridor and Muse's vivarium are both part of Hammer. Maylander and the military fought over it, then made peace over it. But no one could have predicted that it would reveal itself in this way. The bright flames of the thrusters feel blinding. The blast throws you off your feet. If not for Katsit and Monster, you would have been cast to the winds, like those around you, and the broken remains of the lab. Katsit?
Hang on, Doctor.
I saw the sarcophagus. I didn't know Kirsten's lab could fly either. We were so close to the truth.
I know.
The figure in the air casts her gaze at you. No, not at you. The dark monster that is protecting you. Kirsten moves her lips, seemingly inquiringly. You hear Katsit repeat her answer to you.
I know.
And you can bet your sweet butts, this is where I'm leaving you off for this part. I will, however, try to make the next part for tomorrow ready, because it's probably gonna cover the same amount of story plus the bonuses how we went through today. But we are not done yet, so allow me a quick transition. Alright then, and like I said at the beginning, we are now gonna go through the full file and voice files for Rosmontis. Now Rosmontis does not have a English VA yet, so it will be left in Japanese. When we get to the voice files, you will have to pay attention to the screen if you wanna read what she's saying. And very appropriately, we will have her on her skin, which, just to add here for those of you who've never read this one, it says on her skin, Rosmontis' attire while still a test subject, adorned only by detectors and inhibitors. Very fitting for this kind of story right now, right? Anyway, let us go through her file because we do have a chunker to read through. So then, first off, basic information. Codename Rosmontis, gender female, combat experience 1 year, place of birth Colombia, date of birth July 6th, race feline, height 142 centimeters, and infection status, crystals have appeared on her body, infection confirmed by medical examination. Also one very quick thing before we continue here. Obviously Rosmontis has been part of the game and this whole thing has been written way before any of the Dorothy's vision and this current story, of course. So some stuff might feel a tiny bit off, but also because there was probably a lot of misinformation as we know. So let's continue. Also very quick to note here, her physical exam constitutes of a minimal and a maximum for her all of her like stats, let's call them. So let's go over this. Physical exam, physical strength normal and redacted, mobility standard and or excellent, physical resilience normal and or outstanding, tactical acumen standard and nothing, combat skill normal and or standard, and Originium Arts Assimilation outstanding or nothing. The above results represent the highest recorded performance achieved by Operator Rosmontis and her Originium Arts respectively. All examinations pertaining to Rosmontis' Originium Arts will be performed outdoors. Profile. Broad Island Elite Operator Rosmontis possesses a high aptitude for a rare form of Originium Arts, particularly adept at confronting large creatures, destroying hard objectives, immobilizing facilities under emergency, and putting a stop to small-scale skirmishes. She has been shown to possess a solid control of the battlefield and considerable tactical value in assault, positional, and annihilation scenarios. Under Kaltzit's assignment, she is currently active as a core annihilation specialist. All other files pertaining to Rosmontis have been moved to the high clearance database. Clinical analysis. Imaging tests have shown the outlines of some of her internal organs to be indistinct due to the abnormal shadows. Originium granules have been detected in her circulatory system. There are signs of oripathy infection. Cell Originium assimilation less than 1%. Blood Originium crystal density 0.13 units per liter. As I said in my past file readings for operators, anything above around 0.25 is very dangerous to life already. But usually operators who do have like anything above a 0.10, around 0.20 have like a cell Originium assimilation of, I would say, at least 5 to 15%. The range is quite large. But hers is less than 1%, even if there are crystals. So let's continue. And by the way, the next section of the text, and it's a chunker, is still part of the clinical analysis. Most currently known internal organ crystallization and Originium hyperlapsia originate from localized lesions caused by the accumulation of Originium particles in the bloodstream. Yes, Touch, your hypothesis is more or less on point. This particular subject can perhaps be called an infected, but it's hard to say this is oripathy. The infected organ located in her brain stem isn't natural. That's right, it was an artificial implant. Having referenced Radiant's inspection report, we can say for certain that this device is unmistakably artificial in nature. If, just like this particular subject, Spectre's infection was artificially induced, leaving aside the question of how Spectre's immune system is able to fight her Originium infection so fiercely, the liquid Originium density in Spectre's cerebrospinal fluid has already reached such a high level that her life is undeniably in danger. We had to resort to all kinds of measures just to prevent her situation from getting any worse, as we naturally should do. Let's look at the experiment that was performed on this particular individual. One of the objectives of this experiment was to figure out how to contain the Originium infection and the negative effects it produces. and they managed to pull it off, albeit only temporarily. From the project's inception, their plan was to create an individual who is not afflicted by ripathy but is nonetheless an infected, a caster who doesn't need an arts unit, a master of Originium arts who does not need to be trained in its theory. Her infected organs do not exacerbate the Originium density in her body in any way. In a certain sense, this individual is as good as not infected. With her life function still in perfect order, should we really remove this artificial organ? The organ that lets her breathe and swallow and lets her blood flow normally? I'm afraid we haven't met that requirement. No one has. This experiment is likely impossible to reproduce in the short term, and we are supposed to reverse its results to return the body composition to normal. The Logan water tank laboratory is in shambles. The little research data they had were all wiped out as well. We will likely never know whether the data was destroyed or successfully retrieved by its sponsor. The lab's actual proprietor would prefer to keep news of the scandal under wraps. The technological companies looking to thrive in the wake of Logan water tank's downfall are likely a dime a dozen, and who knows how many spies there are in the Colombian cities. Logan Williams was a genius, but his ignorance and apathy led to the deaths of many, including his own in the very end. Poetic justice, no doubt. So here we have our first discrepancy of stating that Logan Williams is dead, as we know from this story. Of course, he is alive. Anyway, continuing. The Mainlander Child Rights Protection Foundation's rescue of the individual from the laboratory ruins and their subsequent exfiltration from the country were the results of its board's careful deliberation. They were intent on keeping Logan's research results out of the hands of Colombian companies and interest groups. If the research conducted at Logan was allowed to continue to ferment, it would only result in further instability. This will not be tolerated. They will not allow it. They would rather pretend it never happened in the first place. In the end, the girl ended up under my care, perhaps by fate or perhaps because, along with Logan's mentor, I was the one who ended Logan's life as an oripathy researcher in Colombian academia. But we both knew it in our hearts that he wasn't going to be stopped by that. It was nowhere close to enough to stop someone who would claim the lives of everyone who walks upon this land for his own benefit. With this, our cooperation with Mainlander came to an end. This would be the final mission ever to be sanctioned by them and carried out in secret by us. This individual, the experimental subject, will forever disappear from Colombia's records. Mainlander doesn't care if she lives or dies. What happens to her from here on onwards is up to us. But what would her treatment, the removal of this artificial organ, entail? The damage this has on her system may be minimal. The device does not have a replacement function. It had never crossed their minds to implement such a function. The device has already become a part of the individual. They turned her arts unit into her life source. I don't have the right to ask her to give up her life, her own life. However, ethics is a matter between you and me, not Rhode Island. Signed by Dr. Kaltzit. And yes, that was only the clinical file. Now we move on to archive file number 1. This is a big chunker. Anyway, we've already put together a two-way comparison table. Yeah, she's exactly as she looks, just a little feline girl. There isn't very much we can say about that. However, her arts... Well, we've stopped holding the tests indoors already, but the data we got from the tests before explains a lot. I guess it's not a good idea to talk theories here. I mean, I don't really understand theories myself. The theoretical casters are always talking about stuff like perception, reversal, and thought impetus. Seems to have to do with cognitive science and neurology, and things I'm bound to never understand. Let's just talk about her arts performance. Right, I mean, there's quite a lot that's classified, and this information is just here to give you the gist. Some of us have started to call her arts her spiritual entity. After all, this is a very fitting and convenient way to describe it. Her arts can stretch out into a wide net that can detect the movements of objects within its range. The net covers a huge area, and most people are unaware of her touch. Her arts can also be used to adjust a single individual. I suppose it's like a big hand. I've tried asking her to keep her arts' range to the smallest area possible, but even then, she can only manage to shrink it down to a few square meters. I'm guessing that's because she's trying to grip her target. Aside from that, it doesn't seem she can use this power on the inside of the target. Even when we gave her a transparent picture with its innards clearly visible, she couldn't make the picture burst from the inside. All she could do was squeeze it from the outside. This looks even more and more like a flexible, malleable force-exerting entity. During the test process, still going by that hand and grip imagery, we surmise she's able to use at most 4 of those large, shapeless hands of hers when her concentration is at its peak. It seems the test results were measured based on her arts activity and deep water testing. Both her speed and strength measurements go to show that there is tremendous power hiding in her arts, yet we aren't even able to detect any signs of her using her arts before they break something. Why just 4? And why are they all shapeless hands? Is that how she imagines them? Indeed, when we were examining the deformation of her target's structures, we can't help but think that some of the bumps might be the gaps between her fingers. And whenever there was a considerable temperature difference, she would also seem to get frostbite or burns when she uses her arts, neurally speaking at least. There weren't any apparent symptoms. She would just say, "It's cold" or "It hurts." And based on her cerebral cortex activity, it's true. The voice in the recording from here on gets softer. I heard an explanation that's kind of out there, even scary. They say her brother still lives within her, and her arts are like her brother reaching out his hands, either hugging the land or pounding it with force. I have no idea who was the first person to say that. It's unsettling. A recording of a field report from caster KK. Moving on to Archive file number 2. It's been a while since the patient Mainlander sent us began her training. I have no idea if this is Calcit's or Outcast's idea. Rest in peace. But there's no doubt she's got better thanks to this. She's not like the other experimentation victims I've seen. They're either always screaming their lungs out, or they've already lost their ability to live and take care of themselves. They're always just curled up in their vessels trembling. My first impression is that she is from a middle-class family and has received a certain amount of education, but when her mental state is unstable, the destruction she wreaks on the ship sure is a terrifying sight to behold. She fears laboratories, she hates medical equipment, and even though our equipment is already several times hardier than normal armor, she even manages to lift one up into the air and crushed it into a ball about the size of a fist. I suppose if it wasn't for Logos, all of us would have long been dead several times over. But thanks to that, we now have a pretty good picture of the kind of life she lived. Calcit has recently requested engineering to renovate some of the laboratories and rehab sick rooms. I also took the opportunity to replace some of the equipment in the testing facilities to give them a more comfortable, warmer feel. And now she doesn't make quite as much of a scene. Trying to talk to her about what's right and wrong isn't going to do us much good. She's a very sensible kid to begin with. She demonstrates a kind of mental sickness not dissimilar to memory loss. Sometimes she even forgets her professional knowledge. Nonetheless, we found that reinforcing her knowledge bit by bit is effective. Touch speculates that she hasn't actually forgotten. She's merely sealed her memories. We think this might have to do with the device in her brain, or perhaps this is the result that she wanted, and her art helped her achieve that. Her arts definitely isn't as simple as a kind of telekinesis. Her past torments her, and that's why she's trying to erase her memories. But she also isn't able to control the strong, unorderly emotions left over. It's a mess. Then she gets upset that she's forgotten again, and gets anxious and confused because of that. She gets distressed for not meeting our expectations, even though we'd be more than willing to cheer her on and help her. She will still blame herself. At the very least, it's not possible for us to retrace her participation in the experiments. She has practically dug her entire brain out. It's a violent way to go about it, almost like she sealed herself away. Her amnesic symptoms might even be side effects of this behavior. Her cognitive ability is being exhausted by herself relentlessly. My guess is her artificial organ is using it up to deal with her ongoing stress. I think she needs a recorder. I will make her a terminal, one that's easy to type on. That way she can go over her notes whenever she wants, dig up those scenes and dialogues she wants, and restore her emotions back to the truths in her head and reorganize them. Just like giving a movie its dialogue back. Once she asked me why I wouldn't let her wear shoes in the room. As I explained the safety side of it, I also thought of borrowing a pair of shoes from Amiya for her to wear when she leaves the cabin. Amiya came over herself. She even brought with her a new pair of shoes, and were they not a perfect fit? The two kids were fast friends. Amiya was very skilled at comforting her. I thought to myself, that was the moment the patient's life truly began instead of some point in the past. There are still lots of mysteries surrounding her, but what does any of that matter? Katsu said she'll put up a poll for the casters and medical elite operators after a while. I'm in engineering, so I'm not voting. But if I had a vote, I would probably vote to let her stay on the island. If what she needs is someone to guide her through her stress, to teach her how to control her arts, then we're the right man for the job. Indistinct personal record found inside a folder. Archive file number 3. Now this is a list of things. Elite operator file. Number 1, infected. Number 2, personality. A strong sense of togetherness, proactive. Number 3, information pertaining to identity. Colombia. Partnership status, disastrous event, agreement terminated. Infected, protected, experimental subject. Further disclosure of information forbidden. Number 4, information pertaining to infected status, attachment, understanding, protective. Number 5, strategy summary, core of her squad, annihilation, focused. Number 6, redacted word, possibility, medium. Number 7, type B events, allowed, as carefully supervised. Number 8, mobilization authority granted, signed Kaltsit Amiya. Newly granted, Doctor. Archive file number 4. Logan water tank isn't the source of the problem. When it all happened, Logan was likely under a lot of pressure. Otherwise, knowing his personality, he would not have made such a gamble. I'm not trying to defend him, but by trying to dissect his actions, I might also be able to verify a few of my viewpoints. My guess is that he urgently needed some test results that supported his hypothesis, either to get his hands on some resources to maintain his position or to preserve his project. Logan implanted this artificial organ in this particular subject only because his research had to do with the infected. If his research was in the bionics, then no matter how many of her organs ended up getting replaced, the subject would not have had even the tiniest traces of oropathy. The subject and her brother were dragged into this mess only because they had a somewhat unique gift in Originium arts. Their adoption after their family was destroyed, their fraudulent guardian, the corrupt orphanage all played a hand. I won't rule out the possibility. Mainlander's report clearly says that Logan murdered her brother to fulfill his experiment's objectives. The direct cause of the incident was that the consciousness that he forcefully extracted from her brother activated her infected organ. Whether this is purely a product of her imagination or is indeed just like what was reflected by the errors in the scans, it's eerie, I know. But her brother might still exist somewhere in her brain. She probably doesn't want to know about this yet. This stems from her subconscious refusal, or perhaps it's the wishes of her brother. Excessive theoretical neuroscience interests me not. Such experiment was entirely profit-driven. Its data was tainted by blood. This kind of data can only be used to back theories that support war and violence. We don't need that. Logan water tank had been under the table for long. The fact that a laboratory of its size was able to direct such deep, inhumane crimes just goes to show how far down this road of privileged Columbia's scientific research has come. Compared to Ursus and Sargon, Columbia's laws are no doubt more advanced and stringent. But how severe the law is has nothing to do with how many crimes have gone unpunished. It actually is. Both the ones who enforce the law and those who administer it are only people. A progressive society carries the burden of being even more civilized. That's how the fate befell her. Just simply because they needed her to be an infected. They wanted her to have those powers, being able to expand her arts casting by the way of compressing her consciousness. Perhaps it was Volvort Kuczynski or Ryan Lab, and it's a bit of a stretch, but it could also have been pharmaceutical companies like Parasol or Tower Mountains. But in any case, it doesn't matter who Logan water tank's benefactor were. Whoever they are, there's an even bigger disaster waiting for them sooner or later. So the votes results. My guess is there are 2 votes against. Logos agreed as well, didn't he? No, I'm not surprised. You may think he doesn't care about anything other than Kazdel affairs, but if that was the case, he wouldn't have agreed to become an elite operator in the first place. It's just like those 2 to vote no. Piff was against it, and I suppose that's only natural. I'll persuade them. Of course, you guys practically forced this one on me. Right, Touch, you guys voted yes. You guys should be the ones to persuade them. I'm merely trying to speed things up. My reason for doing this? I was giving her a checkup this morning, and she asked me if I remember what her name was. She wants to know what she used to be called. She's slowly trying to face her past, even if it's already ruined her once. Or perhaps she would get a new name. She should get a new name. If our cities and our residents are truly more advanced than the bloodthirsty barbarians of ages past, then we must at least prove that our personalities have improved. Preventing science from being used to harm the innocent is also a responsibility of mine. Perhaps it's still too early to give her a name. She should come up with her name herself, but we can give her a code name right now. I believe that by becoming an operator, her future, as well as that of the world itself, will become that much brighter. Now that all of you agreed, I promise I will teach her. She will still become your family, your teammate. She can do it. In the old mythologies, there exists a miraculous plant that helps those who cannot face their memories to be brave and courageous. From here on out, her codename will be Rosmontis. And finally, the promotion record. Will she ever return to a normal life? What makes a life normal anyway? Is it the tatters woven from leaves that the settlers of the wilderness wear, or is it the fine Lethanian garments woven with arts? The sour bean soup that sells for 3 cents a bowl in the Colombian slums, or the dozen of lavish dishes served at banquets of a county of Victoria? Each and every person born in this world is shaped by the environment they grow up in. You would have to be biased, arrogant, and completely ignorant to believe that there is a certain kind of life you could call normal. You should trust this girl and nothing more than the girl itself. Give her time. Wait for her to puff her chest out, hear her head held high, the decisions she makes and the future she wants to achieve. That's her normal life. That's what you call a normal life. It's that simple. You're her world. However you treat her, that's how she'll treat this world. Signed, Whitesmith. Alright, and from here on out, we will go into the voice files. Like I said at the beginning, the voice files, or rather we only have Japanese, Chinese Mandarin, and Korean, so I will leave it on Japanese and mute myself and you guys get to listen to it, but you will have to pay attention to the screen to read what she's saying. So, enjoy.
ドクター、ファイリングとレポートどっちも苦手だから他の当番でもいい？何もしないでここにいればいい？ドクター、なんか変。ロドスのみんなは私の友達。エリートオペレーターと隊員たちは私の家族だよ。前にケルシー先生がみんなを家族だと思ったらダメだって言ってたの。最初はよくわからなかったけど今ならわかるよ。みんなは花瓶の中の花みたいに簡単に枯れちゃうんだ。でも私にはもうみんなしかいないの。何を読んでるって。これはこの間のメモ。あの日の朝はクロージャがコーヒーをこぼしてショコの巻物を何本も汚しちゃったの。それでクロージャは呪われちゃった。確か5回喋ると唾が相手の顔に飛ぶって呪いだよ。怖い？痛いこと、悲しいこと、怖いこと、ふとした拍子に全部消えちゃう。でも忘れちゃダメなの。覚えてたい。だってその時の気持ちは全部体に残ってるから。理由もわからないまま涙を流すのは嫌だよ。記憶は負担になるけどそれでも自分で背負わなきゃ。私は盾も弓も使えない。銃を光らせることも鉄の塊を簡単に兵器に変えたりもできない。それに他のエリートオペレーターのみんなは私よりもずっと温かいの。その温かさがあるから人のために、そして自分の正しいと思うことに全てをかけられるんだ。私も頑張るよ。ケルシー先生もたくさん家族を失ったんでしょ。だってそんな目をしてるから。でも先生はどうして我慢して生きられてるの？私はみんながどんどんいなくなっちゃうことを考えただけで胸が張り裂けそうになるのに、先生は大人だから？じゃあ私も早く大人になりたい。ドクター、この言葉教えて。ブレイズに聞いたらなぜかゲラゲラ笑われてアーミアに叩き回されてたよ。口づけ？つまりキス？そっか、それなら私にもわかるよ。ドクター、ちょっとかがんで。頬にチューしていい？いつもよくしてくれてありがとう。にゃ、あの人たちのことは忘れない。私や他の化け物を作り出した人たち、私たちを使って悪いことをしてた人たち。この大地が人を傷つけることをやめるまであの人たちに罰を受けさせないといけないの。とっても痛くして忘れられないようにしてあげなきゃ。あなたはドクターだよね。 端末のメモで復習したばっかりだから。思い出した。ドクター、もう私に命令していいよ。任務に行くでしょ。私の力うまく使ってね。ドクター、きっと疲れが溜まってるんだね。居眠りしてるのにすっごく不安そう。ギューってしてあげたら少しは安心できるかな。ゆっくり穏やかに眠れたらいいな。私もわかるから。夢の中でも苦しいんだね。わかるよ。こんにちは、ドクター。エリートオペレーターのロスモンティスだよ。ケルシー先生の許可が出たから、私とチームの指揮権はドクターにあるよ。私の力を正しく使ってね、ドクター。それから私は物忘れがひどいから、忘れてそうなことは教えてね。覚えた。こういう戦い方なら私にもできる。ケルシー先生に聞いたことがあるよ。なんで私なんかがエリートオペレーターなのかって。みんな裏でこっそり私には無理だって言ってるのも知ってる。でも先生はエリートオペレーターになればきっといろいろ覚えられて、もっといい人間になれるからって言ってくれた。今頑張ってるところだよ。この大地は簡単に良くならないのに、人間は周りに流されてすぐに悪くなっちゃう。ドクター、私たちは悪い人になっちゃダメだよ。もしドクターが悪い人になるなら、きっとすっごく悪い人になっちゃうと思う。そんなことはさせない。任務？分かってる。私がオペレーターのみんなを守るよ。絶対に。私が隊長なの？大丈夫。自分のチームじゃなくてもみんなのサポートをうまく活かすから安心して。アーツのコントロールはちゃんとできるから。家族が傷つけられるのは嫌。家族を傷つけそうなものは全部壊すよ。あなたのこと覚えておくつもりはないよ。命令を出して完璧にやってみせるから。始まる。今から起きることを見たくないなら離れてて。こっちを見ないでね。痛ければ叫ぶといいよ。少しは楽になるから。降参すれば怪我しなくて済むよ。あなたは死なない。死なせないように気をつける。誰かがやらないといけないことがある。私にしかできないことがある。いつかこんなアーツを使わなくていい日が来たら、そしたらどんな一日になるのかな。想像できない。よくできたね、ドクター。よしよし、ありがとう。残りは私が片付けておくよ。すぐに終わるから。いや、私は撤退しない。みんなを失望させるのは絶対嫌。まだ剣だって震える。いや、剣を捨ててもいい。それでもまだ戦えるよ。絶対に行かない。小さい部屋に閉じ込めるのはやめて。怖いよ。あんな部屋はもう嫌なの。触らないで。怪我しちゃうから。あなたの手を折っちゃわないように我慢するね。アークナイツ、 あなたはドクターだね。
Alright, and that would bring us to the end for today. This was a long outro of sorts. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you like this video, please consider leaving a like on it. It would help a lot and mean a lot for both myself and the algorithm. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. There's a lot more on the channel than just this side story, lot more. And if you want to support me and my work even more, there are memberships as well, of course, on the channel. Even though, as I always say, there will be no videos barred behind the memberships. They are literally, or there's a single membership tier, very low value as well, just to support the channel and my work directly. So nothing will ever be behind it, locked away, I mean. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much. I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and the next part should not be long out, so I'll see you very soon. Until then, bye bye.